the story begins in a very, very concise way. In fact, in two verses, we find out that it's a wealthy family. There are two sons, a younger and an older, of course, and then the younger gets his money, wants his inheritance, and he goes. That's it. I think that's a pretty poor start to the parable. I think there's something missing. Like, the son clears out. I mean, how did it happen? So, you have to use your imagination because it's not in the text. It could be a number of things. It could be Dad sitting at his desk and the younger son walks in and he says, "Dad, I want to see the world. I want to have a bit of fun. Give me my inheritance and I'll see you later." And the father looks up from his desk and he says, "Okay, son, but don't forget to send the postcard." Is that how it happened? Don't think so. No. Or it might have been the son waited till late at night to hear his father snoring. He said, "Right," opens the window, jumps onto the street, runs down the street yelling, "I'm free, I'm free." Is that how it happened?
No.
Don't know. In fact, I've got a better way. Better imagined scenario. It's kind of like an Italian opera. They're in the family is in the lounge room in front of an open fire. Dad's in his favourite chair reading the paper. Mum's on the sofa knitting. The elder brother's on the floor playing with the dog. Suddenly the door opens and it's the younger son that walks in and says, "Mother, Father, I am leaving." The father stands up and says, "I forbid it." Mother looks up, bursts into tears and says, "My baby." The older brother looks up and says, "You idiot." And the dog barks. I think that's about it. I'm sure that's what happened. We don't know. I wonder why. Because we get a lot of detail about how the father responded when the son came back, but we get nothing of the impact of the son leaving on the father. I wonder if it's not Jesus trying to shield the father's sorrow. I wonder if Jesus just doesn't want us to understand the heartbreak, the pain of what he went through. What am I talking about? How do we know the effect of what happened on the father? Well, there is one very clear indication in the story. And this indication comes through twice. The first time is when he finally gets his son and takes him into his arms. And he says, "This son of mine who was dead has been made alive." Dead? And then when the older brother didn't want to come in, he said, "We've got to rejoice together because this brother of yours who was dead has come alive." Amen. That father had experienced grief to the same extent as if his son had actually died. Now, some of you perhaps can identify with that because you've lost a child. My own father had that experience with my older brother. One Sunday, my older brother, 49 years of age, went down to a gym and he never returned. He had a massive heart attack while he was working out. By the time the paramedics arrived, he was gone. When they announced it to my father, he was absolutely devastated. I mean, that's not even the right word. He was so shocked. He could not believe it. It was like any moment that door would open and there he was. He just wept and wept and wept bitterly for the loss of his son. There were better days and there were bad days. On the bad days, he could talk about nothing but his son. What would help would be when we would tell stories and remember funny things and laugh about them. But very quickly the pain would come back. 3 years after his death, my father sent me an email. And in the email he said, it's been 3 years now and the pain is starting to subside, but I just still can't believe it. I can't believe it. You see, the loss of a son is devastating. And that's what this father experienced when his youngest son walked out of the family home. But Jesus wasn't letting on. There is one other thing that surprises me about this story and how the father would have felt. Oh, the father knew what the son was doing. Oh, he knew. Because the brother knew. So if the brother knew, the father knew. And so here he is, heartbroken. Can you imagine a heartbroken God? That's the incredible thing about Luke chapter 15 with the 3 stories, is that it humanizes God in an incredible way. In the story that I preached on a few months ago here, it was a woman that was suffering from great stress looking for a coin. Can God be anxious? Of course he can be. Could God be heartbroken? Yes, of course. Heartbroken for the loss of a son. The other thing that surprised me about this story and makes me wonder how God feels is, he gave everything to his son. And while he was with his father in his father's home, he had everything. He was a son. And he swapped a loving father for a pig farmer who gave him nothing. Aren't people stupid? I mean, really? You've got everything there and you trade it in for something that'll take everything from you. And that's something I want to say to young people today. Look, as a pastor, I've had a Christian girl come to me and she says, I've really met a guy. Oh, really? Well, half of us on this planet are guys, so you're probably going to meet one, yeah? And he's wonderful. And I love him. You love him? Oh, no. And then you meet him, and this guy's, man, he's a basket case. He's a lazy, irresponsible guy that you would never trust with anything, and she loves him. And you say, but why him? And she looks at you, oh, because he's cool. You know exactly. She marries the bloke. In 5 years' time, she will be abandoned. She will be beaten. She'll have a mountain of debts. But he's cool. How stupid can people be? This son swaps his heavenly father, his loving father, for a pig farm. Young people, if you make that choice, you'll spend the rest of your life serving pigs. Sorry. That's the way it is with pig farmers. Yeah. And so that's the first bit of the story that I'm not really keen about. Then there's the second bit. It's when the son returns. Now, I understand that any father seeing his son return would be very pleased about that. I can understand that. But this is really over the top.